What if I told you you're an addict and you are not aware of it? Maybe smoking, alcohol, or sometimes subtle addictions like binging on food, social media, or television. When we smoke, it starts as one fancy cool puff. Nicotine enters the system and triggered dopamine. Dopamine comes in as an enthusiastic guest and stays over for too long because we could not set our own boundaries. Addiction play with your hormones in your brain, and I'm here to give you neuroscience-backed evidence to decode and overcome addictions. This video gives you 9 arrows in your armor to stay mentally healthy and harmonize your dopamine levels. Dopamine. It's the molecule that makes us feel good. It's released in our brains when we experience something pleasurable, like eating a delicious meal or achieving a goal. This surge of dopamine motivates us to repeat these behaviors, seeking that rewarding feeling again and again. But dopamine's power is a double-edged sword. While it fuels our motivation, it can also lead us down a slippery slope of addiction. Repeatedly engaging in dopamine-releasing activities can lead to dependence, needing more to achieve the same pleasure. This is how addiction takes hold. The relationship between pleasure and addiction is complex, but dopamine plays a central role. When we engage in pleasurable activities, dopamine is released in the brain's pleasure center. This release creates a feeling of reward, reinforcing the behavior. However, repeated engagement can desensitize our brains to dopamine. This is known as tolerance. As tolerance builds, dependence on the activity to feel good can lead to addiction. Addiction physically changes the brain, making it difficult to control impulses and make healthy decisions. To understand dopamine's influence, we need to delve deeper into the brain's workings. 2 key areas involved are the nucleus accumbens and the prefrontal cortex. Dopamine acts like a neurotransmitter, transmitting signals across the brain's communication highways. These signals influence our mood, motivation, attention, and impulse control. The journey begins in the ventral tegmental area, VTA, responsible for producing dopamine. From here, dopamine travels to the nucleus accumbens, triggering feelings of pleasure and reward. This reinforces behaviors associated with these feelings. The nucleus accumbens is often referred to as the brain's pleasure center. When dopamine floods this area, it creates a surge of euphoria and satisfaction. This feeling motivates us to repeat the behaviors that led to it. Think of the nucleus accumbens as a balance scale. On one side, we have pleasure and reward. On the other, to reach homeostasis, there is pain seeking more pleasure. Repeated exposure to dopamine-inducing activities can disrupt mental balance. The brain becomes less sensitive to dopamine, leading to tolerance and potentially addiction. This is why addicts often require higher doses to achieve the desired effect. While the nucleus accumbens drives pleasure, the prefrontal cortex acts as the brain's executive control center. This area helps us weigh the pros and cons of our actions. It receives input from various brain regions and helps us make choices that align with our goals. However, when the dopamine system is flooded, the prefrontal cortex can be overridden. The intense desire for pleasure can overshadow rational thought, leading to impulsive decisions. How do we harness dopamine's power without falling prey to its addictive potential? By engaging in activities that release dopamine gradually and naturally. This creates a healthy baseline levels of dopamine. Set achievable goals and celebrate small victories. Each accomplishment triggers a release of dopamine, reinforcing positive behaviors. Introduce mindful practices like meditation and spending time in nature. These practices regulate dopamine levels, promoting a sense of well-being. Be mindful of activities that lead to excessive dopamine spikes, like excessive social media use. The nucleus accumbens and the amygdala are 2 parts of the brain linked to dopamine signals. Negative emotions can increase vulnerability to these signals, contributing to addictive behaviors. By dealing with negative emotions, we can improve our resistance to dopaminergic impulses, keep tabs on your feelings to harness dopamine effectively, and live more fulfilling lives. Novelty plays a crucial role in triggering motivation and increasing dopamine response. The hippocampus, which is key to memory and motivation, thrives on new experiences. This makes it essential to add something new to routine activities such as studying, exercising, or cooking. When we introduce new elements, our brain releases dopamine, making these tasks more enjoyable and engaging. The gaming industry is well aware of this principle, consistently adding new content to keep players engaged. Each update or new level provides a fresh experience, triggering a dopamine release that keeps players coming back for more. A new finding in neuroscience related to willpower and overcoming challenges. There's a part of the brain called the anterior midcingulate cortex, ACC, that seems to be crucial for will and perseverance. This area is smaller in obese people, but larger in athletes, and those who view themselves as overcoming challenges. Interestingly, simply doing hard things isn't enough. The key is to do hard things you don't want to do. This principle is professed in Stoicism too. Stoicism refers to the endurance of pain or hardship, without the display of feelings and without complaint. This implies total acceptance of the moment, challenge as it is, rather than how you would wish it to be. This taps the power of now with a neutral feeling, that is non-duality. When you push yourself outside your comfort zone and persist, the ACC grows stronger, like that last set in the gym or the last minute in a cold water bath. However, if you stop challenging yourself or start enjoying the previously difficult task, the ACC shrinks back. Navy SEALs like David Goggins effectively use this technique to enhance motivation. It's also important to conserve dopamine reserves to sustain effort and avoid depleting them at the beginning of the day. Next time you wake up, delay stimulants like caffeine, nicotine, or the phone. Instead, eat the frog. Achieve a healthy baseline level of dopamine through sufficient sleep each night, non-sleep deep rest like yoga nidra, nutrition that includes tyrosine, that is nuts, fruits, vegetables, along with morning sunlight. Morning sunlight exposure, movement, and exercise significantly impact dopamine levels. Achieving peaks in dopamine can be accomplished through various means, such as setting personal records or engaging in intense workouts. The relationship between the hypothalamus, pituitary, and other endocrine organs sets in motion a dopamine-related cascade that leads to states of well-being, elevated mood, and alertness. By maintaining an elevated baseline level of dopamine through regular exercise, we enhance motivation and drive to pursue adaptive and meaningful healthy goals. Alan Carr, in his books on quitting smoking, emphasizes the importance of conscious value assessments. These assessments determine the value of actions in our minds and dictate our behavior. Write down, emphasizing again, write down, and consider the consequences of your actions in detail. In the book, The Easy Way to Stop Smoking explains the psychological aspects of smoking addiction, helping you see through the deception cigarettes and the industry selling them create. By changing your perspective, the book aims to eliminate the craving for cigarettes, making quitting easier. The book focuses on the benefits of quitting, like improved health and regained control. This positive reinforcement can motivate you to stay smoke-free. This exercise subtly influences subconscious value judgments, making it easier to resist distractions and make better choices. By leveraging these principles, we can create a more fulfilling and balanced life, where dopamine serves as a powerful ally rather than a potential adversary. We spoke about how emotions can cause addictions. Watch this video to release those emotional blockages.